Hello friends, welcome to Affairs Cloud Learn to Lead. Good morning to all, and today we will discuss very important current affairs of 29th and 30th of August 2021. Myself Ashu, and you can see two best images of the day, but today we will discuss very important and the most important current affairs. So watch this video till last. But I am requesting you all the students that you can download our application from the description box link, and the name of the application is Careers Cloud. After that, you can log in with your email ID, and then you can click on this crack current affairs section to subscribe our current affairs for 1 year as well as for 2 years. Both the subscription prices are very much low. If you see the price, you will definitely surprise. But the most important thing that we are covering 90 to 95% of that current affairs, which can very important for your exam. This is the genuinity. This is the hard work of Affairs Cloud team. But how we are covering this current affair? We are providing you daily section. In the daily section, you will receive three things. One is the detailed current affair. Second is the question and answer format of current affair, and third is the quiz section, which you can attempt on our application on daily basis. Next is the weekly current affair, and we are again providing three things. One is the detailed current affair, question and answer format, and the quiz section, which you can attempt on our application on weekly basis. Next is the monthly section, and we are providing most important four type of PDFs. One is the detailed current affair, question and answer format, best 100 current affair, that is also provided in the form of question and answer, and the pocket PDF. It means the 2-liner and the 3-liners current affair will be provided to you so that you can revise the current affair in quick format before your exam. But to enhance your performance further, we are also providing topic wise current affair, and we are covering 20 most important topics which are very important for every type of exam. And if you want to cover one particular topic and or related news just from single PDF, then you can use this topic wise PDF. And if you are a banking student, we are providing three things. One is the detail, and second is the question and answer format of current affairs only related to banking and economy, and third is the quiz section that is also related to banking and economy, but you can attempt this quiz on our application on monthly basis. And if you want to cover all the past current affair of 2021 just from single PDF, then you can use this exam PDF. We are providing detailed budget and economic survey. Also, we are providing expected question and answer list from the budget and economic survey so that you can recall that examiner can make these type of questions from budget and economic survey. If you are appearing for your state exam, then we are providing you state current affair to enhance your performance in your state exam, and we are covering every state and union territory. So all these things comes under one subscription, not different subscriptions we are providing. All these things just come under one subscription. You have to just download our application Careers Cloud. You have to log in with the email ID, then click on this crack current affair section to subscribe our current affairs for 1 year as well as for 2 years. Both the subscription prices are very much low. But if you are a new student, you are just starting your preparation or starting your current affair preparation, then I am advising you to subscribe for 2 years, because there is no so much difference between the 1 year subscription and 2 year subscription price. So that's why I am recommending you to buy 2 year subscription, and you will get 10% extra discount if you use this code ASH10. And if you have any query, you can email us on this email ID or you can call us on this number. So let's start today's current affair, that is 29th and 30th of August 2021. But I am again requesting you all the students that you have to like this video, you have to share this video as maximum as possible, and you have to subscribe our channel if you are new on this platform. And you can join our Telegram group for the official notifications from the description box link. Here is the question in the most important question section. Who is appointed as the chairman and managing director of BEML? That is very important organization, Bharat Earth Movers Limited. Bharat Earth Movers Limited. And the person who is appointed, that is Amit Banerjee. So answer of this question is A. Remember, earlier this position was Deepak Kumar Hota. Earlier this position was with Deepak Kumar Hota, who retired in January 2021. After that, one more person get the additional charge, and this person was M.E. Raja Shekhar. M.E. Raja Shekhar. And he was get the additional charge of this Bharat Earth Movers Limited chairman and managing director. But now permanent chairman and managing director is Amit Banerjee. And Amit Banerjee graduated from IIT Banaras Hindu University, or you can say IIT Banaras. And he was also the very best mechanical engineer of this university. And he joined BEML in 1984 as an assistant engineer and has 37-year experience in the research and development and manufacturing functions. And you can also remember the headquarter of BEML, headquarter is in Bengaluru, Karnataka. But other two appointments are very, very important here. C. Vijay Shekhar, you can see here. He was recently appointed as MD of HCL Technology because Shiv Nadar recently resigned. So that's why he became the managing director of HCL Technology. Rakesh Asthana, very controversial appointment, and he was recently appointed as Police Commissioner of Delhi. Police Commissioner of Delhi. So you can see here the picture of Amit Banerjee, who took over as a chairman and managing director of Bharat Earth Movers Limited. Now we are moving to next question. What is the rank of India in the first edition? This is the first time this index is published. First edition of Global DeFi. DeFi stands for DE stands for decentralized. FI stands for Finance Adoption Index. So we are basically talking about the decentralized finance adoption index, and it is the first edition, and rank of India is 6th. So answer of this question is C. So you can see here India's 6th biggest country in terms of decentralized finance adoption, and this report is given by Chainalysis. And you can see here first edition of this index is published by Chainalysis. You have to remember the name of the company. India ranked 6th place out of 154 countries for the adoption of decentralized finance. And the top country is United States of America, and the second rank goes to Vietnam, and third rank goes to Thailand. But you have to remember the first country is, or the top country is, Thailand. And popular type of decentralized finance protocols include decentralized exchanges and lending platforms like the cryptocurrency. And the index ranks 154 countries based on the three indicators, like you can say decentralized finance value received chain, number of definanced deposits, and on-chain retail definanced value received. So these are the three indicators, but you don't have to remember these three indicators. Now, the most important word here is the decentralized finance. What is the meaning of this? It is a blockchain-based form of finance that does not rely on the central financial intermediaries like brokerages, exchanges, or banks like RBI to offer traditional financial instruments, and instead utilize smart contracts on blockchain. The most common being is Ethereum, or you can say the other cryptocurrencies. And you have to just remember that decentralized finance first edition is published by Chainalysis. It is United States of America based organization. But you can also remember that India recently also ranked on the position of second in the Global Manufacturing Risk Index. Global Manufacturing Risk Index, and India was ranked on the second position. Earlier in 2020, India was ranked on the third position, but recently India surpassed United States of America. Now USA is on the third position, India is on the second, and top position goes to China. You can also remember this is again very important. And very important, another index in which India was ranked on second position, that is Global Crypto Adoption Index. Global Crypto Adoption Index. You have to remember this. Crypto Adoption Index of 2021. It is also released by Chainalysis, and India was ranked on the second position out of 154 countries, and Vietnam topped this index. Vietnam topped this index. You can also see here. Second edition of Global Crypto Adoption Index 2021 was released by Chainalysis. India was ranked second out of 154 countries, and Vietnam topped this index. So you have to remember two indexes in which India got the second rank. One is the Global Manufacturing Risk Index, but it is topped by China, and third position is USA. And Global Crypto Index Adoption Index, it is again topped by Vietnam, and second rank goes to India. So now we are moving to the next question. Who is appointed as the new Chief Executive Officer or the CEO of Broadcast Audience Research Council India? You can see here the picture. This is the picture, and this is Broadcast Audience Research Council India. And this organization is the world's largest television measurement science industry body. So you can remember this. Earlier, this position was held by Sunil Liula, and this was earlier the Chief Executive Officer of this Broadcast Audience Research Council India, and now this position goes to Nakul Chopra. So you have to just remember the question as in slide. Answer of this question is D. And this body was registered with the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting as a self-regulated, not-for-profit joint industry body. So name of this body is BARC, or Broadcast Audience Research Council India. But you have to remember other three positions here, like TV Narendran. He was recently appointed as the president of CII, or Confederation of Indian Industry, for the time period of 1 year, like 2021-22. Next, JB Mohapatra. He was recently appointed as the chairman of CBDT, or additional charge given to this person, Center Board of Direct Taxes, JB Mohapatra. Abdullah Shahid, very important question, even the most important question you have to remember, especially for the SBI. He was recently elected as the president of 76th session of United Nations General Assembly. 76th session of United Nations General Assembly. Moving to next question. who won the Best Director in the 12th Indian Film Festival of Melbourne Awards 2021. This is again very important because this Indian Film Festival was held in Melbourne, but under this film festival, so many winners were announced and it was held on the virtual platform, but it is for the Indian movies, not for the Australian movies or for the other movies, but it is for the Indian Film Festival. And answer of this question is Anurag Basu. So answer of this question is B. So you have to remember this award, basically the best film director goes to Anurag Basu. So you can see here, these are the 6 winners. You have to remember these are the most important. Like you can see here, the best performance male award goes to Surya Shivkumar, and this was for the movie Surarai Potru. Remember, Surarai Potru means praise the brave. Praise the Brave. It is a Tamil movie. I have to change the color so that you can remember. So remember this person. Next is the winner for the best performance female. It is Vidya Balan for the movie Sherni. So you have to remember this. Best winner, and it is for the director, and it is Anurag Basu for the you can say movie Ludo. And in the series section, for the best series, the award goes to Mirzapur. Best actress or the best performance female in the series role, it was goes to Samantha, who was the leading character of the series The Family Man season 2, which is basically Tamil based. And best performer Manoj Bajpayee in the series, again it is The Family Man 2. So you have to remember these 6 awards, otherwise there are so many categories, but you have to remember these 6. Best movie, in best movies, the film is this Sorarai Potru. The best movie was awarded is Sorarai Potru, and the best male performance goes to Surya Shivkumar, and he was also the lead actor of this movie Sorarai Potru. And female Vidya Balan, director Anurag Basu. In the series, best actor is Manoj Bajpayee. In the series, best actress is Samantha, and the best series is Mirzapur season 2. So you have to remember 7 awards. 7 awards. One is film, second is director, next is actor in the film, actress in the film, next in the series, best actor in the series, best actress in the series. I am again repeating, film is Sorarai Potru, next is best director Anurag Basu, best actor is you can see here the name Surya Shivkumar, best actress is Vidya Balan, best series is Mirzapur season 2, and best actor is Manoj Bajpayee, and best actress is Samantha, both for the Family Man 2. So remember this, Anurag Basu. And this award, Indian Film Festival of Melbourne, is funded by the state government of Victoria, Australia, and you have to remember all these awards. Now we are moving to the next question. You can also see here this award representing the theme diversity through cinema, and this was awarded first time in 2012, and it is an annual festival held in Melbourne, Australia, but this time it was on the virtual platform due to the COVID-19. And best feature film is Sorarai Potru. Remember, its meaning is praise the brave, and it is a Tamil movie. Now we are moving to the next question, and it is from picture that United Kingdom India COVID-19 study awarded the Guinness World Record title for the largest scientific collaboration involving 140,000 patients in the 116 countries. So this is the study, and main aim of this study is to improve the understanding of the deadly COVID-19 and its impact on the human life. And you can see here, Guinness World Records title is awarded for the most authors on a single peer-reviewed academic paper. And it is a study about the COVID-19 conducted at Indian hospitals, among others, around the world by the United Kingdom, experts along with the University of Birmingham and University of Edinburgh. And even these both universities, like University of Birmingham and Edinburgh, awarded for the record for the most authors on a single peer-reviewed academic paper. And in India, the collaborative study of COVID-19 was conducted in 56 hospitals, which is among the largest along with Italy and the Germany. And the award was given for the largest scientific collaboration in the world involving more than 140 lakh patients in the 116 countries. You have to just remember this award or this Guinness World Record is for the COVID-19 study, especially for the Indian hospitals. Now moving to next question. So all the most important questions we covered. Now we are moving to the very important question section, but you have to like this video, share this video as maximum as possible, and please subscribe this channel if you're new on this platform, and you can join our Telegram group from the description box link. Here is the question. Which state is the only state to have more than one water plus city? So guys, earlier I told you that Indore in Madhya Pradesh, who was also referred as the cleanest city in India, has now declared as the first water plus city. First water plus city is Indore. But we are talking about the only state to have more than one water plus city. This was recently declared. And three cities of Andhra Pradesh were awarded water plus certification by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs under the Government of India. And the certification is awarded under the Swachh Bharat Mission and Swachh Sarvekshan assessment. You can see here. And remember about Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh became the only state to have more than one water plus city. And what are the name of these three cities? One is you can say Vishakhapatnam Municipal Corporation, Vijayawada Municipal Corporation, and third one is Tirupati Municipal Corporation. So these three cities are recently awarded with the 1 plus water city certificates. So total 9 cities across India were awarded with the water plus certification. So remember, it is for the water waste treatment as well as the Swachh Bharat Sarvekshan. So remember, it is Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister is Y.S.R. Reddy, and you can Y.S.R. Jagan Mohan Reddy, and Governor is Vishwabhushan Harichandan. And you can also remember the very important national park in the Andhra Pradesh. One is you can say Rajiv Gandhi National Park, Rajiv Gandhi National Park. Next is Papikonda National Park, again very famous. Shri Venkateshwara National Park. These three are very, very famous. Moving to next question. Which wildlife sanctuary was recently declared as eco-sensitive zone? I am giving you hint that this wildlife sanctuary is situated in Assam. So now you can answer if you know the locations. So let's bifurcate the options, or you can say let's eliminate the options. Sita Nadi Wildlife Sanctuary, it is situated in Chhattisgarh. So it cannot be the answer. It cannot be the answer. Kaimur Wildlife Sanctuary is in Bihar. Again, it means B is not the answer. Thol Bird Sanctuary is in Gujarat. So it cannot be the answer. D is wrong. So answer of this question is C. Dipor Beel Wildlife Sanctuary. So this wildlife sanctuary was recently declared as eco-sensitive zone. And you can see here Assam Dipor Beel Wildlife Sanctuary notifies as eco-sensitive zone, and it is the only Ramsar site in Assam. Ramsar is basically a tag given to the wetlands all over world, and one of the largest freshwater lake and important bird area in the area of or in the state of Assam. And these eco-sensitive zones are the areas notified by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change around protected areas, or in any national parks, or in any wildlife sanctuaries. And you can also remember this wetland of the Dipor Wheel constitutes a unique habitat for the aquatic flora and avian fauna consisting of 150 bird species, 12 species of the reptiles, 50 species of the fish, and 6 species of the amphibians. So this is unique. And remember about eco-sensitive zones. They act as the transitional zones from area of high protection to the area involving lesser protection. And so many activities are prohibited under this eco-sensitive zone. Like you can say hydroelectric projects cannot be established. Commercial use of firewood is not allowed. Discharge of the untreated effluent of the water bodies is not allowed. Even no new commercial hotels and the resorts shall be permitted within the 1 kilometer of the boundary of the protected area or up to the extent of the eco-sensitive zone, except for the small temporary structures. So there are so many restrictions around this eco-sensitive zone. This is the benefit to declare the eco-sensitive zone, especially in the protected areas. So you have to remember Dipor Beel Wildlife Sanctuary. And recently, 7th national park was declared in Assam, that is Dehing Patkai National Park. So total 7 national parks in Assam. Assam Chief Minister is Himant Biswa Sharma. Governor is Jagdish Mukhi, and total national parks are 7th. Like Raimona and Dehing Patkai was recently added. Moving to next question. Rajnath Singh inaugurated stadium named after Neeraj Chopra in which city? So again, this is very important. You can see here Neeraj Chopra, you can see here Rajnath Singh ji, and you can also see here the Chief of Army, MM Narvane ji. And answer of this question is Pune. So B is the answer. So Minister of Defense Rajnath Singh ji renamed Army Sports Institute with the name of the Neeraj Chopra Stadium after the Olympic gold medalist Neeraj Chopra. And you can see here also this Neeraj Chopra, an Indian javelin thrower from which state? From Haryana, and exact place is Panipat. Won the gold medal in the men's javelin throw at the Tokyo Olympics of 2020. That's why 7th of August every year will be celebrated as the National Javelin Throw Day. and he became the first track and the field athlete to win a gold medal for the independent India, and he won the gold medal at both Commonwealth Games in 2018 as well as the Asian Games in 2018. He was also awarded with the Arjun Award in 2018. So you have to remember about these things recently related to Neeraj Chopra. And this Pune Stadium, which was also known as the Army Sports Institute Stadium, now renamed as Neeraj Chopra Stadium. Moving to next question. Which company launched Anand mobile application for the agents and the intermediaries so that onboarding can be easily assessed? And answer of this question is Life Insurance Corporation or LIC. So LIC chairman Shri M.R. Kumar ji. M.R. Kumar is currently the chairman of life insurance company. Launched this Anand mobile application via video conferencing event in the Hyderabad, Telangana. And you can see here what is the meaning of Anand. ANA stands for Atmanirbhar Agents. NDA stands for New Business Digital Application. So this is the meaning of Anand. And it works as a tool for the onboarding process to get the life insurance policy via paperless format through this application. And it is built on the paperless KYC, know your customer process using Aadhaar based e-authentication. And application was launched only for the LIC agents and the intermediaries, and it provides easy access to the agents and the intermediaries to reach out to the prospective customer, and they can onboard all the customers through this application, and it will become the paperless policy. So remember about LIC. LIC was established in 1956. Its chairman is M.R. Kumar, and there are 4 managing directors. One is Siddharth Mohanty, second is Mahesh Kumar Gupta, next is Raj Kumar, and fourth one recently appointed Ipe Mini. Ipe Mini or IPE Mini, however you can remember. Now moving to next question. RBI has increased the ceiling on the remittances per transaction from India to Nepal only from rupees 50,000 to how much? So earlier the remittance from India to Nepal was 50,000. It was restricted due to COVID-19, but now it is increased to 2 lakh rupees. So answer of this question is C. So Reserve Bank of India has increased the ceiling on the remittance per transaction from India to Nepal from rupees 50,000 to 2 lakh rupees. So remittance to Nepal RBI hikes per transaction cap, that is per transaction. Remember, it is not full year, per transaction from for rupees 2 lakh from rupees 50,000. And RBI has also removed the limit of 12 remittances per year per remitter. So this was earlier the restriction, but now this restriction is also removed. And the remittance ceiling was increased by RBI in exercising the power conferred under the Act of Payment and Settlement Act of 2007. This comes under Payment and Settlement Act of 2007. And Indo-Nepal Remittance Facility Scheme was launched by RBI in the year of 2008 as an option for cross-border remittance from India to Nepal. RBI also increased the incentive paid to the banks for coin distribution. RBI has increased the incentive being paid to the banks for the distribution of coins to general public from rupees 25 per bag to rupees 65 per bag. Earlier, the banks were receiving 25 per bag distribution. Now they will receive 65 rupees per bag. Main objective is to provide clean note policy and to ensure that all bank branches provide better customer service to members of the public with regard to exchange of notes and the distribution of coins. Even if it is rural area or the semi-urban area, then 10 rupees extra will be provided per bag. So this is the facility which will be given to the banks, and banks will get some extra money by this, by distribution of coins, you can say. Now we are moving to the next question. Ministry of Information Technology launched which toolkit to aid quantum computing research in India? It is to quantum computing research in India, and name of this toolkit is QSIM. So answer of this question is B. So remember, the project is among the first initiatives to address the challenge of advancing the quantum computing research frontiers in India. QSIM. So you can see here, government launched QSIM to aid quantum computing research in India. And QSIM stands for Quantum Computer Simulator Toolkit. Q stands for Quantum Computer and SIM stands for Simulator Toolkit. It is to aid and enable cost-effective research in the quantum computing. What is the meaning of this quantum computing? It is the study of how to use phenomena in the quantum physics to create new way of computing. In a normal computer, basically, there is a bit which can be 0 or 1. But in other hand, in the quantum computing, there are qubits, bits, qubits which can be either of those or a superposition of both 0 and 1, and thereby enhancing the ability of the computer. This is the quantum computing. and it will be utilized by students as well as the researchers or the PhD students. And quantum simulators are the devices that allow scientists to study quantum effects which are otherwise difficult to study in any laboratories or the lab. It allows researchers and students to write and debug quantum code which are important for the developing quantum algorithms. And it will serve as an important education and research tool to acquire programming and designing skills of the real quantum hardware. So this is Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. And who is the Union Minister? Union Minister is Ashwini Vaishnav, and who is currently the member of Rajya Sabha from Odisha. So you can remember it is QSIM. Moving to next question. Ministry of Information and Broadcasting released the book titled as Reflecting, Recollecting and Reconnecting. This book is an account of which person? Again, this book is very important because the new Union Minister of Information and Broadcasting, Anurag Thakurji presented this first copy of the book titled Reflecting, Recollecting and Reconnecting to Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu. So answer of this question is Venkaiah Naidu, because this book is an account of the 4th year of Venkaiah Naidu as the Vice President of India. You can see here the cover page of this book, Reflecting, Recollecting, Reconnecting. And this is the 4th year of the Venkaiah Naidu as the Vice President of India, because he was appointed as a Vice President in the year of 2017. And he hails from which state? He hails from Andhra Pradesh. Exact is Nellore district of Andhra Pradesh. And this book has 183 pages, which reflects the vision and the ideas of the Vice President and captures various aspects of the Vice President during the 4th year in pictures as well as in the words in 5 chapters, total chapters 5. So you can remember this book is very important because it is related to the Venkaiah Naidu. It means there is election due in 2022, especially for the Vice President and President, because Ramnath Kovind ji was also appointed in the year of 2017. So 2022, the time period will over, and in 2022, Vice President time period will also over. So you can remember this. Moving to next question. What is the name of Indian Coast Guard offshore patrol vessel which was recently launched by Rajnath Singh ji? So you can remember this question because this is the 7th offshore patrol vessel, and name of this patrol vessel is Indian Coast Guard ship Vigraha. So answer of this question is C. So this offshore patrol vessel will be placed at Vishakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh. Vishakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh. You can see here, this is the picture of IACGS ship which is known as Vigraha. And this is the first time that a private sector shipyard, Lawrence Turbo, has designed the constructed an offshore patrol vessel ship. And L&T has previously designed and built 6 ICGS. So total ICGS ships under this class are 7. So you can remember the name, the Vikram is there, Vijay is there. First one is the Vikram, second one is the Vijay, next is Veera, next is Varaha, and Varad and Vajr. So these were the 6 which were built by L&T. Now this is 7th, you have to remember it is Vigraha. And this offshore patrol vessels are the large range surface ships which are capable of operations in the maritime zones of the country and island territories. And the Ministry of Defense launched this series in the year of 2015. And the Indian Coast Guard, you can remember about Indian Coast Guard, Director General is Krishna Swamy Natarajan, and headquarters is in New Delhi. Krishna Swamy Natarajan. Moving to next question. Tamil Nadu Governor Banwarilal Purohit gets the additional charge of the governor of which state or union territory? I earlier covered this question in the last video when we were covering one scheme like Mera Kaam Mera Maan. Mera Kaam Mera Maan scheme was recently started by Punjab government for providing the skills to the unemployed youth so that they can get the employment. So that's why we discussed this question in that video, and answer of this question is Punjab. Earlier the governor was VP Singh Badnor, but now additional charge given to Banwarilal Purohit, who is currently the permanent governor of Tamil Nadu. You can see here the picture of Banwarilal Purohit also gets the additional charge of Punjab and Chandigarh, because Chandigarh is not a legislative assembly union territory. So Chandigarh administrator also is Banwarilal Purohit. So it means 3 charges. One is permanent governor of Tamil Nadu, additional charge of governor of Punjab, and administrator of Chandigarh, because Banwarilal Purohit will replace VP Singh Badnor, who was also serving as the governor of Punjab and administrator of Chandigarh. Chandigarh, a city state, and the UT does not have its legislative assembly. The governor of Punjab is concurrently the administrator of Chandigarh. That's why whoever is the Punjab governor will also act as the administrator of Chandigarh. This is compulsory. And you can also remember the other states governor, like Rajasthan is Kalraj Mishra. You can remember Kalraj Mishra. Puducherry Tamlizai Soundararajan also has additional charge because she is permanent governor of Telangana. Tamlizai Soundararajan. Manipur. Recently we covered this question. Who was appointed as the governor of Manipur? La Ganeshan. La Ganeshan. So very important question. Moving to next question. Which hospital became the first hospital in the India to house a fire station inside the hospital premises? So you have to just remember this question only from the slide. Answer of this question is AIIMS, Delhi. So All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi became the first hospital in India to house a fire station inside the hospital premises. And the AIIMS and Delhi Fire Service have partnered to establish the fire station inside the AIIMS premises. And the fire station infrastructure will be developed by the AIIMS, and the fire tender equipment and the manpower will be managed by DFS or Delhi Fire Service. So you have to just remember the question only from the slide. Moving to next, which company became the first entity to open a startup accelerator in the financial technological space at Gift City? So in the Gift City area, one financial technological company opened a startup accelerator, and name of this company is Finex Labs. So answer of this question is B. So remember, Financial Innovation and Analytics Lab, this is the full form of Finex, has opened its startup accelerator and co-working space at the IFSC, International Financial Service Center at Gift City. And through this, Finex became the first entity to open a startup accelerator in the financial technological space at Gift City. And this company belongs to South Korea. South Korea. Headquarters is in Seoul. Now you can see here the picture. Gift City, ANSR partnered to build GICs, Global In-House Centers, and GCC, Global Capability Center. You can also remember this because this company, ANSR Global Corporation Private Limited, collaborated with the Gift City so that in India, only Operational International Financial Service Center IFSC can attract companies to set up global in-house centers or global capability centers at Gift City. And this GIC, or you can say this global in-house centers in the Gift City, will set up at high-end processing centers related to financial services to provide financial support services. So you have to just remember the question because this is important rather than this. And this Finex Lab signed a memorandum of understanding also as with the National Stock Exchange as the knowledge partner. And Finex would create a startup ecosystem to provide funding, networking, access to global financial centers for upcoming entrepreneurs in the financial technological space. Because this company opened a startup accelerator, it means this company will provide so many things to the startups like financial support, mentoring, or you can say market accessibility. So remember this Finex Lab, this is important. And this International Financial Service Center Authority is again very important. Its headquarters is in Gandhinagar, Gujarat, and its first chairman and current chairman is Injeti Srinivas. And it was created by the Act of 2019, but it was established in 2020. Moving to next question. Ministry of Defence has approved contract to which company for supplying 14 integrated anti-submarine warfare defense suits to Indian Navy? And this company is Mahindra Defence. So answer of this question is A. So Ministry of Defence has approved contracts worth rupees 1349 crore to Mahindra Defence System, which is a group of Mahindra and Mahindra Limited, for supplying 14 integrated anti-submarine warfare defense suits to the warships of the Indian Navy. And you can also see here the total cost of this contract is 1349 crore, deal with the Mahindra Defence System. And this is the first of its kind technology developed by the Indian company, which is Mahindra Defence. And it is a flexible system capable of operation in all sizes of warship like small, medium and large. And this is a modern underwater equipment which uses the latest technology to detect and protect warships from the underwater threats. The sensors in this system undertake underwater surveillance and provide inputs for the signal processing and analysis. Then the warship performs necessary action to neutralize the underwater threats. And you can also remember about Mahindra Defence System. This was founded by Mahindra and Mahindra in the year of 2012, and its CEO is Rajiv Gupta. But it is not important, but you have to remember this 14 integrated anti-submarine warfare defense suit, which is just to neutralize the underwater threat. And this is the first time that this technology is built by an Indian company. Moving to next question. Next is from picture, but this question is very important. You have to remember that government introduced a new registration mark for new vehicles like BH series, Bharat series, to facilitate seamless transfer of the vehicles. and it is by the Ministry of Road Transport and the Highways. So remember, it is BH series for the new vehicles. This is important. Why this is important? Because it is to ensure seamless transfer of the vehicles across states or the union territories, and the vehicles with BH series registration shall not require the assignment of the new registration mark while shifting from one state to the another. Because earlier, under section 47 of the Motor Vehicles Act of 1988, motor vehicles registered in one state can be kept in another state for only 12 months. Within 12 months, this can be transferred. It means these vehicles should be re-registered before the end of 12 months. But now there is no need due to this BH series. And the BH series will allow the users to avoid the re-registration process while shifting from one state or the UTs to another. And BH series will be available voluntary to defense personnel, government employees, employees of the central and the state public sector undertaking, and private sector companies or the organization that have offices in the 4 or the more states or the union territory. So remember, there is motor vehicle tax on this BH series. The tax will be imposed for 2 years or in the multiple of 2 years like 4, 6, 8. After the completion of 14 years, the tax will be imposed annually and the amount will be half of the earlier amount. So this is the benefit of the BH series. So you have to remember, BH stands for Bharat series, and Ministry of Road and Transport goes to Nitin Gadkari ji, who is currently the member of Lok Sabha from Nagpur constituency of Maharashtra. Moving to next question. So all the most important questions covered. We are moving to the important question section. You have to like this video, share this video as maximum as possible, and please subscribe this channel, and please join our Telegram group from the description box link. Here is the question. Who will head a committee recently formed to streamline revenue litigation in the Supreme Court? And this committee is formed by center government, and the chairman is Ashish Shirdonkar. So answer of this question is D. So you can see here, center forms committee to streamline revenue litigation in the Supreme Court. So it will finalize and operationalize an effective platform within the 3 months. The timeline is given 3 months for the relevant case management by the government and to coordinate with all stakeholders. Because earlier there was one case, the appeals for the direct and indirect taxes were being filed much beyond the stipulated period of 60 days. 60 days. This problem was spotlighted by the Supreme Court in February 2021 after an appeal against the order of the Custom Excise and Service Tax Tribunal was filed after a delay of 5,360 days, but the time period is allotted 60 days, but they filed this appeal after 536 days. So that's why a committee was set up, so that how we can streamline this revenue litigation cases in the Supreme Court. Remember, the chairman is Ashish Shirdonkar. Moving to next question, but it is from picture, it is not so much important. Only the students of Tripura can remember this answer or the 12 projects, because this is only the state specific question. Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman ji, who is currently the member of Rajya Sabha from Karnataka, inaugurated 12 developmental projects, especially in Tripura, like 38 crore World Bank aided 132 kilowatt project, electric substation in the Western Tripura, 20 crore 3 surface water treatment plants funded by the Asian Development Bank, and so many. You don't have to remember these 12 developmental projects, but remember, the state is Tripura. Governor is Satyadev Narayan Arya, who was earlier the governor of Haryana, but now the governor of Tripura. And Chief Minister is Biplab Kumar Dev. Biplab Kumar Dev. And 2 national parks are very important. Clouded Leopard National Park. Second is Rajbari National Park. Both are very important. Moving to next, and it is our one-liner important point, and here is the first point. National Remote Sensing Day 2021 was celebrated on the 12th of August. So this day is observed to mark the birth anniversary of Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, who is also known as the father of Indian space program. And the day also aims to create awareness of the Indian remote sensing program and its application for the environment and society. And the 12th of August 2021, this 12th of August marks the 102nd birth anniversary of Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. And on the remote sensing day of 2021, the Indian Research Organization launched Earth Observation Satellite, which is known as GISAT. GISAT, that is Earth Observation Satellite. It is also known as EOS. And this satellite is also known as Eye in the Sky. Eye in the Sky. GISAT. This is launched by ISRO. Next is Reserve Bank of India extended the scope of tokenization to laptops and wearable devices. Earlier, the facility of tokenization was available only to the mobile phones and the tablets of the interested cardholders. But now this tokenization is provided to the several customer devices such as the laptop, desktop, wearables like wristwatches and the brands, and Internet of Things devices. Tokenization basically means it is the replacement of the actual card details with a unique alternate code called the token, which will be unique for a combination of card, token requester, and the device. So this is the tokenization. Next is SEBI banned Kotak Mahindra Asset Management Company from launching FMP. FMP stands for Fixed Maturity Plan for 6 months. And even imposed a penalty of the 50 lakh rupees to this Kotak Mahindra Asset Management Company. The investors of the certain fixed maturity plan launched by Kotak Mahindra Mutual Fund were not paid their full proceeds based on the declared net asset value as on their respective maturity date. So that's why SEBI put a ban. So SEBI was established in 1988, but it becomes statutory body, or it become act in 1992. Its current head is Ajay Tyagi. Next is Justice Vineet Kothari named as the Chief Justice of Gujarat High Court. Again, this question is important, especially for the Gujarat students. Vineet Kothari. Earlier, this position was with the Justice Vikram Seth. Vikram Nath, not Seth. Vikram Nath, Chief Justice Vikram Nath, who was being elevated to the Supreme Court. Now he was elevated to the Supreme Court, but now this position goes to Vikram Kothari. But here is a suspense that Vineet Kothari will also retire on the 2nd of September. It means he is appointed just for 5 or 6 days. So he will be like discharge his duties on the 2nd of September. So he will be retired on the 2nd of September. So now again, new Chief Justice will be Justice R.M. Chaya. Justice R.M. Chaya. So he will be the new Chief Justice of this Gujarat High Court. So you have to remember, this comes under the Article 223. Article 223. RBI issued master directions on the PPI. PPI stands for Prepaid Payment Instruments. And this is the new guidelines of the RBI. Earlier, you can say RBI has classified this prepaid payment instruments into the 3 types. One was the closed, second was the semi-closed, and third one was the open system PPIs. But now they defined in the 2 categories. One is the full KYC, one is the small prepaid payment instruments or the infrastructure. These PPIs were issued by the banks or the non-banks after obtaining minimum details, because not full KYC, that's why they will get the minimum details of the PPI holder. But under this full KYC, they will complete the KYC. Next could be used for purchase of goods and services. It can also be used for the purchase of goods and service. But fund transfer and cash withdrawal is not permitted under the small PPIs. But in the full KYC, fund transfer is also allowed and cash withdrawal is also allowed. And outstanding amount in the small PPI is just 10,000 rupees per month, not exceeding 1.2 lakh per year. But the outstanding amount not exceeding rupees 2 lakh, not exceeding 2 lakh. Earlier it was 1 lakh. So small PPIs could be converted into full KYC PPIs within the 24 months from the date of issue of the PPI. So you can remember just this information, otherwise this is not so much important. Next, Narendra Singh Tomar chairs the 11th BRICS Agriculture Ministers meeting of 2021, and this is the Agriculture Minister by default, or Union Minister of Agriculture Narendra Singh Tomar ji attended. And BRICS chairmanship of 2021 lies with India, and India is celebrating 15th anniversary of BRICS, and theme is BRICS at the rate 15. And BRIC word is coined by Jim O'Neill, and South Africa was joined later in 2010. That's why it is known as BRICS. And the theme of the meeting was BRICS Partnership for Strengthening Agro-Biodiversity and the Food and Nutrition Security. And one new platform was launched under this BRICS. This platform is known as BARP. Remember, this platform is known as BARP. BARP stands for BRICS Agriculture Research Platform to enhance agriculture cooperation among BRICS countries. Also, one action plan from 2021-24 was adopted for agriculture cooperation among the BRICS countries. So you can just remember. So we are moving to the question of the day. What was the question of 28th of August 2021? The first Indian ruler who established the supremacy of the Indian Navy in the Arabian Sea. So we are talking about the Arabian Sea, and this is Raja Chola I. So answer of this question is first. Raja Chola I, who was the father of Rajendra Chola I, was very powerful standing army and considerable navy, which achieved even greater success under his son Rajendra Chola I. One of the last conquests of Raja was the naval conquest of the old islands of the Maldives. old islands of the Maldives. According to ancient books, these islands were 12,000 in number. And Chola Navy had played a major role in the invasion of the Sri Lanka, because the full Sri Lanka was captured by these two persons, Rajaraja I and the Rajendra I. So you can remember the supremacy of navy achieved under the Rajaraja Chola I, the great ruler of the Chola dynasty. And moving to next, it is the question of the day. The Great Silk Route to the Indians was opened by which person or which dynasty? So you have to give me the detail of the dynasty. You have to give me the king of this dynasty who opened the Silk Route to the Indians. So I am waiting your answer. So please like this video, please share this video as maximum as possible, and please subscribe this channel if you're new on this platform. Remember, by providing these three things, you are motivating me, and you can also press this bell button so that you can receive the notification on time, and you can join our Telegram group for the official notifications. And it is a Fairs Cloud promise that it will boost your confidence in the general awareness section definitely. Thank you guys for watching this video. Don't take life so much serious. Life is fun. Always be happy like this smiley. You can achieve anything with your smile. Thank you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.